Hello. Thank you for tuning in to our live Zoom production of Dracula. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to remind you of the following concerns. Eating and drinking are absolutely fine, and we won't see it. Also, please know where the emergency exits are in your own home because we can't help you. I'd like to take a moment to seriously remind you that if we have any problems with our show tonight, you will hear the music and the technical difficulties screen appear. If that happens, please get yourself some popcorn or use the restroom. We will be back momentarily. Dracula is often viewed as a foreign seducer, a wielder of dark and potent magic. But as I was reading the book, I found Dracula far more spoke to pride than lust, of battles won and blood shed, the sort of cruel sentimentality which places conflict in the center of our world. Dracula was, before that term existed, a fascist. This adaptation is my own and only bears a passing similarity to the masterpiece that Bram Stoker wrote over a century ago. But it is indebted to that Victorian era. I've quoted pamphlets, love letters, and yes, Dracula itself, to give the idea of an age as complicated as ours, of a group of people trying to do the best they can in an often brutal world, who work together despite differences to banish the evil that was invited in. If you enjoy the magnificent work of our cast and crew, please donate. All profits go to these hard-working folks. A link is provided. Oh, and also, don't forget to stay in the light.
Why do I have to travel so far from you, dearest love?
Promotion, salary, food, perhaps a few coins aside for our wedding.
I miss you. I long to be at your side.
True. I'd rather be with you on the train, roaring through the hearts of mountains, yet here I am.
It forces me to wonder the importance of being made full solicitor.
Please. You'd never forgive yourself if you'd let this adventure pass, and neither would I.
When we write, it's as if you're next to me. I'm glad for our shorthand, a secret language for our eyes only.
The merging of our souls.
My letters to you are indistinguishable from the markings of a journal. I suffer so between the time of our separation and the moment of our reunion. When we ascend into a more sacred union, when I may take your hand and call you wife.
Oh, Arthur, that's so saccharine. I love it.
Budapest seems a wonderful place. The impression was that we were leaving the West and entering the East. Drax carried us among the traditions of Turkish rule. These people are mysterious.
Everything is exotic to you, Arthur.
I've yet to examine your notes on the various races of these lands. It seems the center of some imaginative whirlpool.
In Transylvania, there are the Saxons, the Wallachs, and the Magyars. Your man is a Sekali.
Some claim to be descended from the Huns. No doubt a part of the superstitious nature of these people.
Unlike the English, who are simply the descendants of Trojan refugees, wizards, and an immortal king.
I had a very tasty dish. Spicier than I'm used to.
Shocking.
It was called paprika Hendel. I've sent the recipe along with this letter. You have a more advanced palate than I, and I thought you might enjoy the change.
Indeed. I miss spice. Oh, Arthur.
I did not sleep well, though my bed was comfortable enough. I had all sorts of queer dreams.
Exciting.
There was a dog howling all through the night, leaving me nothing but time to imagine you.
Arthur! You'll make me blush.
I think of nothing but you. In spite of myself, my imagination carries me to you. I grasp you, I kiss you, I caress you. 1,000 of the most amorous caresses take possession of me. As for my heart, there you will always be. I have a delicious sense of you there. But, my God, what is to become of me if you've deprived me of my reason? That is a monomania which, this evening, terrified me.
Sweetheart, please, please don't be so frightened. We'll be married soon, and then these lonesome nights will be over forever. And until we are, I am loving every tiny memory. Sometimes, when I miss you most, just the ache of it all. Oh, I can't tell you. If we were together, you'd feel how strong it is. Those dear, dear little moods. I wish so hard to kiss you and forget.
I will cover you with love when next I see you, with caresses, with ecstasy.
I want to gorge you with all the joys of the flesh so that you faint and die.
I want you, amazed by me, to confess that you had never dreamed of such transports.
When you are old, I want you to recall those few hours. I want your dry bones to quiver with joy when you think of them. Arthur!
Mina. Yes.
Mr. Harker.
Yes, indeed.
Your carriage is ready.
Excellent.
To whom are you speaking?
No one.
Very good. Your luggage has already been brought down.
Thank you.
You are English?
Yes.
Do you come with army?
What?
You are Empire, yes?
Well, yes, but it's not mine. So you don't have to worry.
It's not yours.
No. The Queen holds that honor.
You dislike the Queen.
What? No, never.
You dislike army.
It is complicated. When are we scheduled to leave?
When you pass the threshold.
Thank you.
You have mother.
I'm sorry, but I'm very
You
busy.
have mother.
Of course.
She loves you.
She's passed.
She loves you. I have a gift from your mother.
Look, thank you for the food and help. Here's a tip if
No.
that's what you're...
This is not to be bought. This is given for the sake of love. This is mercy, man of empire.
I didn't mean to offend.
Offense is the least of your sins. Take my gift,
What is it?
the cross.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm an Anglican. That's not my, how do I say, religion?
Religion? Do you not know what night it is? St. George's Eve. You will take protection now with eyes open or stroll into damnation.
St. George is very fond of the English. He's our patron.
The battle has not ended between knight and dragon. Will you take?
Yes. Thank you.
You are welcome. I will set your bags, Herr Harker.
Where's the cross?
At your heart.
Mina, I wish you were here.
Your carriage has arrived, Herr Harker.
Lucy,
Mina,
it's been too long.
far too long.
You are radiant.
'Tis true, I cannot lie, but you look
Oh, wretched.
distressed.
Strengthen your descriptor.
But wretched seems too cruel.
Find another term.
Anguished?
Is that a question?
Well, Mina, you look positively anguished.
Fatigue. The life of an assistant schoolmistress is not an easy thing.
Then it seems a particular evil that your dastardly Mr. Harker left you all alone to languish.
The world has not changed enough for us to travel unwed.
Then you must be married.
As soon as he returns. But I am used to my loved ones abandoning me. My favorite precocious young pupil also ran off to her own affairs.
Precocious? I bawled my eyes out at your notes.
Naturally, I only spoil useless children.
When I was a little girl...
She says at 19.
I always thought you were jealous of me.
Insightful as well. It would have been a dereliction of duty to allow my darling Lucy to become some insipid housewife, as opposed to the most destructive voice of a generation.
Whatever do you mean?
Do not play coy, Lucy.
So, has Arthur written, Mina?
You read this issue of the New Age? It has created a stir, I'm told. A woman published under the nom de plume Atlanta. A lady provocateur. The men are simply furious.
Probably some gentleman trying to play silent good dog.
I think not. Shall I excerpt?
I'd rather you didn't.
And yet, the new woman, in the sense of the best woman, the flower of all the womanhood of past ages, has come to stay.
Stop that.
If civilization is to endure, the sufferings of the past have strengthened her. Maternity has deepened her. Education is broadening her.
And she now knows that if she must perfect herself and perfect the race and leave her imprint on immortality. How did you know it was me?
I recognize the prose. Besides Atlanta, the lone woman aboard the ships of legend, I told you those stories.
No doubt I was possessed with a perverse desire to be caught. I can't hide anything from you, my dearest Mina.
Writing of this kind shouldn't be hid from anyone. Put your name to it.
Not until Mama passes.
Oh, Lucy.
Mother is sick, Mina. Near the end. Grasping at a diluted peace, finally sure of the world's natural order, her husband's noble memory, and child's innocence. The truth would be bitter poison now. I say this backward empire needs suffrage. She shouts treason. I point out father died riddled with syphilis, and she weeps lies. And as she lay there pale with shallowed breaths, what kind of cruel iron-braced truth would force me to grudge her with the realization that innocence is frailty? She suffered so at the hands of the world, not from me, so in kindness I wait.
Lucy, you're once in a generation. You're well-born, idolatrously beautiful, and the way you write slays Goliath.
There is time, Mina. I want to give my mother some happiness this year. The marriage first, and then I'll publish my essays.
Marriage?
Oh, I didn't mention?
I didn't even know you had a suitor.
Scores. After all, I am beautiful, therefore to be wooed, and I am woman, therefore to be won. But I've at least narrowed it down to 3.
Oh, only 3.
An exhaustive search, Mina. It involved an evaluation of every silly young man in the country.
Who are these finalists?
Distinct, frightfully intense, and traveled, and brilliant, and I fear I could love them all. It's a shame that we can't marry as many people as we'd like. It would save a great deal of heartbreak.
Positively libertine.
Hypocrite! Or was there some other explanation for the silhouette fleeing your apartment every Thursday before dawn? A phantom, perhaps?
I It was terrible, Lucy. It was a fearsome specter that would leave me helpless.
Drained?
Aye.
Did you always knew you loved Mr. Harker? From the very moment you saw him?
Loved? No. I was incapable of love.
That's ridiculous. You're the most open-hearted, giving woman I've ever met.
I hated myself, Lucy.
Don't say that.
I'm being candid, Lucy. Listen, you're my closest friend, despite our differences in age, rank, and... No, not a friend. You're my sister. But I want to tell you before you marry, but this is not easy for me.
I'm sorry.
I hated myself. The situation of my childhood was squalid, and adolescence did not improve. Violence is London's constant companion. The cobblestones sleek with blood, the well-to-do dump waste as you walk. A power shrouds your face from decent folk. I was saved by the most intimate of miracles. I could read. The world's between pages, Lucy. I soared past nations, epochs, and transformed into queens, heroes, and lovers. But outside my windows, there was nothing. Byron does not lounge on Osborne Street, but Jack the Ripper hunts there. That would have stayed my home, but for the kindness of a cruel man.
Cruel? This is Arthur.
Oh, no. Arthur is gentleness personified. Mr. Hawkins is a hunter in his own way. Thankfully, I was not pretty enough for his taste, but I was bright, knew how to read and write, plain and useful, he'd say. Arthur was one of a dozen clerks. I played mother to them all, but never him. He wouldn't allow it. Such an abominably confusing blend of conceited independence and gentlemanly deference. He proposed to me after 3 months.
Marriage?
Yes.
But you said you didn't love him.
That is true.
Yet you accepted.
Absolutely not.
Of course. Wait, I'm confused.
I imagined Mr. Harker a new predator, not fully grown, a cub who desired to practice with me. But I kept the acquaintanceship.
Why?
I respected him, and he respected me. The other clerks possessed more obvious natural talents and abilities, but my Arthur wore them down. He kept a personal store of candles so he'd not run out. That's how often he stayed past dusk. But he'd look for help anywhere, everywhere. So I occasionally lent aid. I'd read a great deal of the law books in that hall, and we'd talk until dawn. Those were the first words I'd ever spoken that seemed to mean anything. I hated him for asking for my hand, but I could not surrender those conversations.
When did you relent?
Not for years. I received my position at the school, met you, my wonderful Lucy, and thought to live my life as a delightfully cantankerous old maid.
How did you reestablish your association?
He wrote to me with a question.
Was it another proposal? He knew he couldn't live without you?
I can quote my favorite line from memory. There is no singular person in the entirety of this empire whose abilities or judgment I trust more. I beg you to lend me your unique insight into the matter. He wanted some help with some tedious issues about the genealogy of a local family. I was in the area and he wanted my help.
Romantic.
Yes. Arthur has changed in some ways, but he's still at the core the same man I refused. The same man I occasionally despised. Understanding who I was allowed me to find a partner, then a lover, and once he gets back from this damn trip, a husband.
I envy you.
Well, that's a delightful variation.
Of what?
Most pity me.
Ridiculousness.
Oh, I don't take offense.
No, explain this to me.
Plain features and a pleasant disposition. You can admire the beautiful or despise the ill-mannered, but having neither quality, pity is the necessary compromise.
You are the most beautiful woman of my acquaintance.
Thank you. That is kindness, but I know that's not true.
Stop. I repeat, you are the most stunning woman I have ever met.
How?
It begins with your posture.
My posture?
Maybe your frame. There is no word. When you stood in front of the class, it seemed as if you vibrated. Stillness of such intensity overwhelmed us. We felt that any movement, no matter how small, a twist of the wrist, a raised eyebrow, would be explosive. We had no capacity to look elsewhere, so our eyes drifted about your figure until they landed on your face. It's a composite beauty. Your eyes, skin, the rosiness of your cheeks are all perfectly acceptable, but when taken into consideration of the other, the speed at whilst your eyes flashed, whilst your lips curled with an expression both equal parts amused, cruel and loving, and proud. Your presence absorbs the viewer, crowds out all other thoughts and defies comparison. I don't know how else to define beauty but in those terms. When does Mr. Harker return?
Not for several weeks.
Have your mail forwarded to my address. We have work to do.
What?
You want me to move forward, Mina? Lend my pen to the cause of the new woman, or homeless, or working children. Then I need you at my side. We have a world to change.
Lucy.
Besides, I need your help in choosing a husband, and you seem to have a perfectly acceptable track record. My current favorite is the good doctor, but he'll need to pass your evaluation.
Do you mean this?
Mina, we have a new century before us. Let's write that story.
Hello? Hello, is anyone there?
Welcome to my house. Enter freely and of your own will. Welcome to my house. Come freely, go safely, and leave something of that happiness you bring.
Count Dracula.
I am Dracula.
Thank heaven. Your driver left me alone at the entrance, and I was worried you might have...
He sped ahead to bring your luggage. You will find your belongings in your room. Did you find your travels pleasant?
It was...
Strange?
well, different.
That is all. Going through circles of blue flame, hounds following you throughout the night. Every peasant you meet warning you of the dreaded forces of the night is simply different. I cannot imagine what I will find in England.
I didn't mean to offend.
The truth never offends me, Mr. Harker. You must be famished. May I offer you something to eat?
Will you join me?
I have dined already and do not sup.
And I will follow your example.
Very good. Self-control is key. You are hungry.
I'm fine.
Nonsense. You've been traveling for hours, yet you resist because self-control is what makes a man. This is a test.
You are testing me, Count Dracula.
Not I. Not now, Mr. Harker. But who is testing you? Tell me.
This is a very unusual beginning for a conversation.
Of course. If I were anything but odd, it would hardly be worth the adventure. Imagine traveling across worlds only to find the mundane. Hundreds of miles only to look into what is the word? Reflective glass.
A mirror, sir.
Ah, yes. Foul bauble of man's vanity. Hateful things that encourage self-obsession. Don't you agree?
They're so helpful.
How?
For gazing into my reflection for hours on end. Also, shaving.
You have a sense of humor, Mr. Harker. What was I saying?
I'm being tested?
Indeed, but not by me.
Of course not.
By whom? Tell me.
I suppose you could say,
Suppose. Suppose.
Mr. Hawkins, my employer, by sending me on such an important assignment so far away while knowingly delaying my plans with marriage, may have been testing my resolve to the profession and the company.
How does this feel you?
I beg your pardon?
How does this feel you?
The expression is, how does this make you feel? And I'm not worried about Mr. Hawkins.
You corrected me.
Yes,
Why?
you were wrong.
But I hold your career in my palms.
In my hands. Though, in fairness, one might assume that was poetic license.
Do you embarrass me?
I'm a very good solicitor. You started out by saying you wanted the truth. You mentioned Tess at least twice, and I read your correspondence with our firm before leaving. I know your English is exceptional. Come now, who do you take me for?
Excellent. Excellent, Mr. Harker. I desire someone brave to challenge me.
Within the limits of my expertise.
Do you know why I hate mirrors so?
You mentioned they were hateful trinkets to man's vanity.
Foul baubles, but close enough. Let me tell you what makes them dangerous. It fosters this illusion that the person you see is the man you are. The dancing lights behind your smile, the summation of existence. Idiotic nonsense. Glass holds no reflection.
Where should I look?
In the eyes of those around you, do they startle in fear, smile with love, or caress your frame with lust?
Well, I believe we have matters to discuss over your estate in Carfax. May I go into detail about them?
No sense of romance, Mr. Harker. But fine. Tell me about this tomb. I've never heard such an English word before. Carfax.
It's a corruption of the old French, quatre fois. The house is four-sided for each direction.
How much space?
20 acres.
Tell me, is it open to the world? I know you English have a much kinder view of your neighbors than my experience allows.
There's an old but solid stone wall. The house in part resembles a keep, but it'd be easier to show you.
You have drawings.
I have photographs.
This is why I wanted a man of empire. Excellent. I am glad that it is very old and big. I myself am of an ancient family, and to live in a new house would kill me.
You can see the house has been added upon.
A strangling architecture. One can only guess the amount of ground it covers.
It is sprawling.
What is this?
An old church that dates back to...
I rejoice! A chapel of the old times. We Transylvanian nobles would love not to think that our bones may lie amongst the common dead.
Well, I hope that will be delayed for many years.
Indeed. This house has interesting company, does it not?
It is unique.
Truth, Harker.
There are several other homes in the vicinity. One very large house was recently purchased and converted into a private lunatic asylum, though I assure you it is not visible from the grounds.
This is good. It adds, what is the word? Character. But I am the only boy, yes?
Well, that's a noble, correct?
A prince.
You will be the only prince, but the area is also home to the Westenra family.
A very liberal-minded group, yes?
Very.
Do you have knowledge of this family?
My fiancée is very close friends with Mrs. Lucy Westenra.
You have met her?
I have.
She is beautiful.
A lovely young lady.
But willful.
I beg your pardon?
She writes, yes?
I believe she does. How do you know that?
I've read her work.
She uses a pseudonym.
A lone prophet in the neighborhood broke the code. A very interesting man. It was he who invited me into your world. He has higher hopes for England's salvation.
This Mr. Hawkins.
That pitiful old miser? No. His greed brought me you, and there ends his usefulness. You will replace that canker. But do not distract. Tell me, is this literary compulsion of Mrs. Westenra's common in England?
Writing. We've been known to make the odd attempt.
Her writing.
Not particularly, but we're working on it.
This is progress in your eyes.
Unequivocally.
So bold, young man.
You asked for the truth.
And you offer me lies. No, worse. You gift me a self-delusion. The mirror.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, Count.
Salvation is still possible. Tell me, solicitor, what is left? What more do I need to be invited into your country?
Sign these papers and the house is yours.
Do you sign as well?
My signature is not required.
It would make me feel better.
It's not necessary.
I want you to invite me to your country.
Count.
Or I will write to Mr. Hawkins and let him know that you have failed this test.
I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding. Of course, I welcome you into my country. I hope that there's much that we can learn from the other. Let this signature be the first of many greetings.
So you welcome me?
With open arms.
Good. Do you know why I fly to England?
I know it's not the food.
No. To save you.
Pardon?
To save you.
Thank you, Count, but I'm doing very well.
You are allowing yourself to be bled. Tell me, do your notes and papers sing the tragedy that is my people?
Mina wrote this down for me. The shellacs?
Zechalis! And we had a right to be proud. For in our veins flows the blood of many brave races who fight as the lion fights for lordship. The Huns, whose warlike fury swept across this earth like a living flame. The dying peoples believe that within our veins flows the blood of old witches who mated with devils. Fools! What witch or what devil was ever so great as Attila, whose blood beats within this heart? Is it a wonder that we were a conquering race? That we were proud? For when the Magyar, the Lumber, the Bulgar, the Avar, and the Turk poured their thousands onto our frontiers, we drove them back. We received the bloody sword, and at its warlike call flocked to the standard of the king. Was it not a Dracula indeed, who in a later age brought his forces again and again across that great river into Turkey land? They say he thought of no one but himself. But tell me, what good is a peasant without a leader? Where ends the war without a brain and a heart to conduct it? Ah, young sir, the Zechalis and the Dracula as their life's blood. Their brains and their swords can boast records that mushroom growths like the Habsburgs and Romanovs could never reach.
What does this have to do with saving England?
Because for us, these warlike days, blood is too precious a thing in these days of dishonorable peace. And the glory of those great races are just a tale that is told. But England is at its height. You grasp a quarter of the planet. You should be charging forward, not standing still. Strength is what's needed. But what do I hear in your ladies' pages? In the words of Fabian society, in the height of your government, in your own eyes, Mr. Harker. Weakness, inaction, and soon England will be as dead as my home. Not again.
What is that?
Children of the night, what music they make. Do they disturb you, Mr. Harker? You dwellers of this city cannot enter into the feelings of the hunter.
What are you?
I am Dracula, that which cannot die. Remember always it was you who invited me. Sleep, Mr. Harker. I have yet more information to glean. Do not despair. Do you know your Kipling, man of empire? I answer his prayers. God of our fathers known of old, Lord of our far-flung battle line, beneath whose awful hand we hold dominion over palm and pine. Lord God of hosts, be with us yet, lest we forget, lest we forget. The shouting and the tumult dies, the captains and kings depart. Thine ancient sacrifice remains, and a humble and contrite heart. Lord God of hosts, be with us yet, lest we forget, lest we forget.
Is everyone accounted for?
Yes, Renfield, we're all present. Allow me to introduce to you our neighbor and local celebrity, Miss Lucy Westenra.
Hardly. It's a pleasure to meet you, good sir.
And, I'm sorry, yes, Miss Mina Murray, who's quite the educator herself, I'm told.
I do my best.
Ladies, I was unaware that we would have members of the gentler sex. This discussion by its nature will be rather bloody.
We have the brave Dr. Seward to shield us.
Well, maybe you, Lucy. I'd like to see if I can stomach whatever Mr. Renfield has to offer.
Stomach. Indeed. I suspect the good doctor has spoiled my lecture, but never mind.
You do me a disservice, Renfield. I wouldn't dream of spoiling the surprise.
I'm glad to hear that. Professional courtesy wanes among our young doctors. I apologize, Quincy. I'm being paranoid. May I continue?
Please do, and the full lecture. Hold nothing back.
Restraint is not my sin, Doctor. Now, to begin, the theory of hierarchical collective consumption as an explanation of human expansion. Now, like Hobbes, we must start at the fundamentals. We have here the musca domestica, otherwise known as the, does anyone know?
Housefly.
Excellent. Now, we begin with our humble friend. Flies seem to proliferate by magic, but we know certain things draw their attention, do we not?
Dr. Seward, what is this?
Watch.
A dollop of sugar, and we quickly create a large group of flies.
A swarm.
For our purposes, we refer to them as a population.
Well, now I'm going to imagine them with little faces and hats.
You'd be correct. They always have some little piece of excrement or other on their head. It's quite cute. Now, this process takes a deal of time. My colleague, Dr. Seward, can personally attest.
Oh, absolutely. Renfield spent a good portion of every afternoon making sure that the necessary material was evenly spread out to prevent clustering and ensure a high enough sample size. Am I right, Renfield?
As always. Now, days pass as the room fills. They continue populating as long as you have the necessary conditions.
On occasion, we found it difficult to feed you, Renfield.
Oh, Quincy, you're like my mother.
Did he just eat that fly?
Waste not, want not.
Now, once the population has hit a critical mass, you introduce young lady. What is your name?
Lucy, good sir.
No, I'm sorry. Your companion.
Miss Murray.
Tell me about the family Fulcidae.
It's a common spider. They include cellar, carpenter, and skull spiders.
And skull spiders. Excellent. Doctor, you have found our replacements. Young Lucy will take over hospital administration and Mina, my experiments.
Sir, I don't have your appetite.
You are a dangerous woman, Miss Murray. Now, this multitude allows a gathering of spiders to form a colony, if you will.
Oh, no.
Excellent. You see how the narrative develops. Now, our colony is able to feast upon the population in ever-growing numbers. Flies are webbed, tangled, and drawn into salivating fangs. Members of the colony grow fat, and the initial population becomes more manageable. We've had far fewer issues with flies since the colonization, have we not, Quincy?
Oh, far fewer issues. I do miss the buzzing sometimes, though. It can be quite relaxing.
But the spiders cannot be the end of the process. The colony has its own problems, so we use them to entice our army of sparrows who feast upon members of the colony that grow ever more numerous themselves. Now, a few key points.
He has a bird.
He has a few at this point.
The flies each have their own life. Eat sugar, mate, beat their wings. Complete lives within the bounds of their experience. But to a spider, the entirety of a fly's purpose is sustenance. Likewise, a spider is a sparrow's lunch.
Bleak.
Pure. The next is this development. This system of population, colonization, and imperialism, whether with my little pets or within our empire, requires the application of human agency. In nature, an individual spider will come across a smaller group of flies and a sparrow will hunt. Individualism is animalistic, but the collective endeavor is the human project.
Isn't that sweet?
Sweetness is the final point. In order for this to begin, a lure is required, a base resource to draw in the population. For my flies, it is sugar, but it can be coal, oil, diamonds, markets, opiates, perhaps. Anything can be the bait, but it is merely a pretext for the real resource, blood.
Here's the conclusion.
Blood.
Of course.
How, of course. Please, continue.
The entire system you've described is based on consumption. They must eat or it ends. The more they eat, the larger they grow, the more it attracts others. Blood must flow.
Correct and poetic. Questions?
So, this metaphor applies to people in their day-to-day life.
No. Excellent question. The individual human is equivalent to a specific fly or spider or sparrow. It does not change the overall structure.
So, it would not matter if an individual fly or sparrow ignore the pattern.
At all.
How does this process end?
That is a timely question. I've petitioned my colleague, Dr. Seward, for a cat to continue the experiment.
To eat the sparrows.
To quote your friend, blood must flow.
That's horrible.
Cats always eat out of fun. Ask any frustrated bird watcher.
What will happen to the cat?
It will be well fed.
Until when? When does this experiment end?
Blood must flow.
What will you do with the last creature?
The experiment is not finished. A wolf, perhaps, but that will have to wait. Dr. Seward, you wish to see the end of my thesis, do you not?
Oh, Quincy, you're not going to let him do that.
Miss Lucy, there's no need to get upset.
What purpose does it serve? You know how this process ends. What discovery can possibly be made by another animal suffering?
Well, she makes a good point, Renfield.
I need the cat.
Well, I'm afraid I'm going to have to side with Miss Lucy here. Wild creatures are one thing, but it can get abusive when you bring a domesticated one in.
You agree with Miss Lucy. Nonsense. Absolute, complete rubbish. You don't agree with her. You just want to feel the new woman moaning, Doctor, underneath you.
That's enough. Let's get you back to your
A
cell.
wolf is coming, Quincy. He will take her away from you. He will tear down these walls. The blood will flow for those of us willing to hunt.
All right. My apologies. He'd calmed down recently, but talk about a turn. No patient like him in the country.
You said he writes professionally?
Yes, he writes for the Oxford English Dictionary, and he pens and reads every periodical he can.
Does he? Which ones?
The ones he reads or the ones he writes?
Both. Does he write for the New Age?
Yes, but only to argue. He's conservative, as you may have seen, but brilliant, though. He even really likes railroads.
He's deranged.
Well, he does live in an asylum.
Why did you show this to me?
This is my life. I want to show you the kind of people I'm helping.
How are you helping him?
Analyzing his obsessions helps understand his methodology.
Was our present for his benefit or ours?
So he thought, he's fascinating though, isn't he?
Indeed. Thank you for the afternoon, Doctor, but I must make my way home.
I thought we might stay for some dinner.
Another time.
Doctor.
Yes.
What's his diagnosis?
I had to invent a whole new classification for him. He's a zoophagous.
A life-eating maniac.
Precisely.
Why is he here?
He thought someone was following him. It was just an exhausted worker, but Renfield beat him to death.
So the man's dangerous.
Yeah, and pretty strong too. But we all do feel a little bit of sympathy for him.
What happened to him?
He was a merchant sailor in Africa. One night his ship got raided by the Ashanti. It was...
Bloody.
He was the only survivor, I think.
Next time, demonstrate to Lucy this kindness. Good day, Doctor.
Miss Mina, a friend of mine is visiting England, a brilliant professor. I thought Miss Lucy and you would like to meet Professor Van Helsing.
I'll pass the message.
Doctor, come quickly. Renfield's escaped. He went through 4 of us. I think Thomas is dead.
Oh my God. Okay. Don't worry, Miss Mina. I will find Miss Lucy and take both of you back to the Westenra estate.
May I help?
No. Please stay indoors. We'll find him very soon.
Where am I?
Hello, man of empire.
I remember you.
Who am I?
The servant who gave me the cross.
Not a servant.
No,
Do you have my gift?
here at my heart.
Good.
Are you an angel?
No. A memory.
Of whom?
I've existed folded into all times, tongues, lives, beliefs, faiths, but in this land, they call me Saint Theodora.
What do you want from me?
To remind you, the poor are blessed in spirit. The meek will inherit the earth. The hungry and thirsty are loved, as are the peacemakers.
Not the men of this castle you have to convince.
Are you not, man of empire?
Hello? Hello?
Arthur?
Mina?
Arthur! What can I do for you?
Is this a dream?
No. You see me true.
Mina, I'm so scared. I think I did something wrong.
Impossible. Not my Arthur. You're always right. Why? You seem so pale, love. Are you hungry?
Famished.
Allow me to cook for you. Would you like that? Let me ease the burden.
Something's wrong.
No. The way before was wrong. This is natural.
But
Do you remember my friend? She remembers you.
Oh, yes. The solicitor.
what are you doing?
Saying hello.
And hopefully good morning.
You can't. This is insane.
Arthur, I don't mind at all. You're such a good man. You deserve a little reward.
I'll make you feel positively rapturous.
Who are you?
Who do you see?
Not the wife. He called me by her name.
Scandalous. Aren't you being quite naughty, Mr. Harker? Conjuring up some other woman to prey upon you.
Who are you?
A taste.
A reward for helping.
He wants you.
Not old man Hawkins. That fool's already got 2 feet in the grave.
And Renfield? Well, he's... What's the clinical word?
Nuts.
That's it. But you're so clever.
Strong. If you help us forward.
You could save your country.
From what?
They're enemies.
What enemies?
Those who keep you from being stronger.
You deserve support.
And love.
Get away from me.
You're grasping a trinket.
It won't save you in the end.
Think about how much you have to lose.
What you have to live for.
Leave.
You heard the gentleman. This would have been more enjoyable for you the other way.
What's happening to me?
You're dying.
Oh,
Blood loss. It's slow but painless. For the moment.
what do you want from me?
I have a few more questions. But first, may I offer you something to eat?
Nothing from you.
We'll see. First, what is the general feeling of your countrymen on the state of the empire?
Victoria lives.
What does that mean?
Rule Britannia. Britannia rules the waves.
You are dazed, aren't you?
You'll have nothing from me.
May I have more than one solicitor?
No, I'm the only one in England.
You don't lie very well. Tell me, may I recruit one anonymously or through a proxy?
You need to fly in circles around the tower.
That can be arranged. Tell me more about your loved ones. Mina is your fiancée, yes?
Mhm.
You'd like to keep her safe, correct? She doesn't have to die. I could save her if you let me.
From what?
The rot within your country. Do you think your enemies will suddenly care that you've grown kinder, gentler? Do you think France is so far removed from the victories of Napoleon that they wouldn't dare cross that strait again? Or how about the colonies, on whom you depend on for your life's blood? Do you not think that they will not turn on and descend upon your soldiers like wolves?
They wouldn't dare. Our armies would crush them.
With what leader? Who is your Wellington now? There is no one. Your women cry out because your men weep as if they were women. The core of your country dissolves.
Our country is not so easily broken.
No? Why are you here, Mr. Harker? You've an exceptional mind, decent will. You should be stronger than you are, but you hold yourself back. You waste time teaching your wife law, lending time to former child workers, letting them feed on you. Can't you feel the drain? I see greatness in you, Harker, and greatness should be rewarded.
I have been.
That is a shame. I wanted you, Arthur Harker, not the shell that you will become. Victoria will fall. And when that happens, these unionists, these new women, these mongrels will surround, descend upon, and burn London like they did Paris in 71. A new meaning to the City of Lights. It takes blood and armies, not books and words, to liberate.
That's insane.
It begins at home. When you have women dictate to men. When little Lucy Westenra can choose a mate without the counsel of a father? No. When the strong give the passions of the weak a command, there is no future.
You're awfully frightened for such a supposedly strong man.
This will no longer be painless. You cannot reward the enemy. Soon, it will be time to leave. Do not worry. By the time we reach England, we will be of one mind. Thank you for the invitation.
Excuse me.
Yes, how may I help you?
I'm afraid I'm a tad lost.
Oh, of course, of course. Where are you headed?
To visit an old student of mine, Dr. Seward. He's the director at the local asylum.
Oh, Quincy.
You know him?
We're colleagues. I'm William Chester Renfield. A pleasure.
Likewise, Professor Van Helsing. Seward invited me to speak on the possibilities and limitations of surgery in treating the mentally ill.
Fix the maniac under the scalpel. What will they think of next?
It's an old, risky idea.
How so?
I've seen very little evidence that this could be considered a treatment in any meaningful use of the word. It simply makes the patient more manageable.
There's something to be said for that alone.
I imagine you didn't get into this profession to avoid work with the afflicted.
We are so often trapped by our own choices. The asylum is down the road a ways.
We have met.
Where could we have possibly seen each other?
The Golden Coast.
Ah, you're Dutch, aren't you?
By birth?
Yes, I remember a little. You were the doctor they sent. Forgive me, I was very sick, and the knife wound didn't help.
You healed quickly. Whenever there were prisoners of Europeans, Chief Amenquatio would use me whenever possible.
When they didn't kill us.
No less often than you killed them.
I killed no one. My ship was a trading vessel, and I was her nurse. Asleep when I heard a friend gasp. It took me a moment to wipe the sleep away. When my vision cleared, I saw eyes. I thought they were Jack's. My bunkmate had these same soulful pupils. And before God, they were identical. But when the light came, I saw the dark face with the same eyes as my friend.
I find that true all over the globe. Most people would make the Ashanti out to be savages, but they are people like us all.
Exactly. He couldn't help putting the dagger to my throat any more than we could help unleashing the cannons. Burnt bodies, lead, that is the destiny of all people. It is a consumption, compulsion. Otherwise, why were we there? What possible purpose?
A question I often ask.
Why were you there?
Learning. The Ashanti have a different approach to fever. The flora and fauna create wonderful possibilities. I wanted to see if we could help each other.
From them?
Yes. Disease spreads, killing our kin. Black, white, from the coast to the plains. The only hope humanity has to survive the storm is unity. So I search the world for more traditional remedies that can be quite helpful. Teach my methods. It's been particularly useful in easing pain.
Pain is life.
You have a very bitter sense of your profession and those in your charge.
We don't exist to help our charges. That is for their families' gentle sensibilities or for the state's posturing. Strength is required to cut out the people you love. Not all have it.
I don't take your meaning.
It would be best for all involved if every so-called patient in that asylum was gently put to sleep.
That is horrifying.
I said gently. It is in mankind's best interest to be rid of it.
Not remotely. Beethoven suffered clear cases of mania and suicidal tendencies. Would you be better without his music? Van Gogh's paintings? In fact, would not more support likely bring to light scores more gifted minds that enrich humanity?
They are not the ones kept in our cells.
True or not, ill or not, gifted or not, we are charged not only as doctors but as people with the sacred trust of recognizing the dignity in every stranger we meet.
They drain the resources of their fellow man.
Now, but with time, we can help all flourish, and then our capacity for creation will be truly unleashed.
Creation? I've been blind. You're one of them.
Dutch?
Yes, of course. You recognize me. You've been following me all along.
I don't understand.
From Africa. Did I bring you with me? Hiding in the rafters. Seward was your student. Yes, that was your mistake, Van Helsing. Admitting that, now I know. Yes, very good. You almost had me, but I will not be put off my purpose now. I learned from the Ashanti as well.
You do not work for the asylum.
A terrible and great mission stands before me. England's future depends on it. Schemer, dog, foreign poison. You will not be my impediment.
Stay back.
Fire, if you're armed.
I sleep?
You did used to sleepwalk. I remember finding you outside once. The rain clung to you.
I was so frightened. It was not home.
Lucy, you've always been strong.
Mina? Mina! I can't hear you, Mina! What are you doing here?
Why don't you love me? No, there is something wrong with you.
Get out!
Marry me or a padded cell will be your new home.
Get out of my room!
Hello, Mrs. Westenra.
Who are you?
I am Dracula.
What are you doing here? I will have you removed and arrested.
I've come to save you.
Help!
There was no one else except her. She's acted as your father, given you advice, set your goals.
I don't know who you are, but if you do not leave, I will have my servants throw you out. You don't frighten me.
I'm not here, technically. I am on a ship. Can you hear the waves?
This is a nightmare.
All around you. But soon, it will be over. Your night is coming.
You're a monster.
Rude.
I can tell. What's on your face?
The blood of Mr. Harker.
Lies!
He is dead. He resisted until there was nothing left. The same fate needn't befall you. Accept me, Lucy, when I come for you.
Get out!
You have no father, no protector, but I will adopt those responsibilities. By the time my boat docks, you will beg me to save you.
Mina? Mina?
Thank God you're awake.
Did you break my leg, Dr. Seward? I've asked you to stop doing that.
Not me this time, Professor. It was the escape patient.
Renfield,
Yes,
I heard a gunshot.
that was me. We followed Renfield and I saw him on top of you.
Is he all right?
Unknown. He just let go and ran off into the forest. He's faster than I've ever seen.
Did you hit him?
I thought so.
You shouldn't have.
He was attacking you.
Well, now he's not. So find him and treat the man.
I have people on it.
Why aren't you out leading them?
Because I thought it would be nice to make sure you were okay.
There's something disturbed about that man.
Oh, he suffers from zoophagus.
Life eater. What ridiculous megalomaniac invented that term? You are tired?
Yes.
Well, you didn't stay up all night looking after me. That would be, well, insane is not the sensitive term in this case.
I just came back from a visit to a friend. She suffers from nightmares. Give her something to sleep, but it's as bad as I've ever seen.
Is this friend the beautiful young woman you wrote to me about?
The same.
Focus on your escaped patient. You're the one who always lectures me on objectivity.
And you never listen, Professor.
Do you have his file?
Renfield?
I'd like to see what makes a zoophagus.
Of course.
He spoke of a purpose. What did he mean?
No idea.
What is the nature of his delusion?
Consumption of blood.
Well, that did not require a new category. Blood drinking is an old ritual, usually symbolic in this day.
It's a shade more complicated than that.
Bring me the file.
I'll have it sent. I should go check on Miss Lucy and then track him down.
He's not an animal. You're not tracking him. You're finding him.
Right.
And good luck.
He escapes every now and then, but he's not usually so...
Violent?
Yes. Ever. He'd made so much progress.
Something changed then.
Perhaps.
Bring me the file. There was something wrong. It felt as if you were
Insane.
a warrior sent on a mission. A dark god.
Why don't you try and get some sleep, Lucy, even a nap?
I can't, it's too bright out.
Didn't Dr. Seward give you some medicine?
I'll take it before I go to sleep.
You don't remember anything about the dream.
No. Just red eyes and the feeling of suffocation. The ground became a sea.
You are safe now.
I know that. I'm in the middle of my own estate, surrounded by enough servants to occupy Caro. What could I possibly fear?
Exactly. Besides, I'm here. You're always safe with me.
Am I? Do you remember that old man that used to live near our school?
The caretaker, Mr. Swalls.
That's him. I used to call him sweet old man, but he never quite was he? He was a brute.
He could be a bit of a bully at times, but he never meant truly ill.
No. Then why'd he tell me those stories? Those awful little tales.
You used to love it when he would go off.
They were terrifying and mean-spirited. Remember when he took us to see the tombstones? All those solemn marble edifices stacked in rows. Beautiful. But he couldn't stop laughing.
Mr. Swalls had a bit of gallows humor, no doubt.
Do you remember George Cannon?
No. Was he one of Swall's friends? I remember he had 2 men who'd follow him around.
George Cannon was one of the tombstones. I remember. I read it out loud that day. It said, "Sacred to the memory of George Cannon who died, in hopes of a glorious resurrection on July 29th, 1873, falling from the rocks. This tomb was erected by his sorrowing widowed mother to her dearly beloved child."
I don't remember in particular, but I know what you're referring to.
Swallows laughed for ages when I read it. I argued and said that's not funny, and he nearly fell over.
It wasn't a pleasant day.
You don't see funny. But that's because you don't know that the sorrowing mother was an Elcat who hated him because he was crooked. And he hated her so that he committed suicide in hopes that she might get the insurance she put on him, and asked for hopes of a glorious resurrection. I've often heard him say Basile that he'd want to go to hell, for she was so pious that she's sure to go to heaven. And he didn't want to addle wherever she was. A pack of lies, Lucy, a pack of lies.
That was an eerily good impression.
Why? Why did he show that to me? Why did he say those things?
It was his way of showing off.
For what? I was 16. Why did we go with him? I think back on it now and it seems unhinged, especially with that look in his eyes.
Lucy, what are you talking about?
And you let me go with him.
We weren't in any danger.
No. But did we know that then? Do you still keep in contact with Mr. Swalls?
No, he passed away not long ago.
What did it say?
What say?
His tombstone, Mina.
I'm afraid I don't remember.
I imagine it says, "Here lies Julius Swalls, a cheerful old man who helped others and never had a crossword pass his lips." A pack of lies.
Let me get the doctor, Lucy.
Seward? No. I think I'm tired. I think I'm gonna go to sleep. Goodbye, Mina.
Oh, good. Good night.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I apologize for my late arrival. There will be refreshments after our little get-together, but as I am in a bit of a hurry, allow me to start with a very simple proposition. England is sick.
I can't sleep. It used to be the dreams that frightened me, but now that's not true.
Plague has spread to every corner of our land. You would be forgiven for not noticing. This is not a violent fever that courses through our veins, allowing us a chance to fight back. A fierce burning that warns us of imminent peril.
Your red eyes seemed so frightening before. No. They're still unsettling, but compared to everything else, I can't help it. Oh, what's happening? I used to be so sure of the world, or at least my place. I was going to make them listen. I am smart. I'm strong. So strong. You're right. I've had to be.
No. This illness is a slow degeneration of will. A malady that leaves England a husk, paralyzed and surrounded by vultures.
It's too much. I must be loud, political, angry. Mina told me that. It was her who infected my brain. Of course, she wanted me to be like her. I could do things that she couldn't.
The symptoms surround us. The government has stolen from our purse, not to help widows or poor little cripples like they magnanimously claim. Instead, our sweat and blood is tossed like feed to these con artists, these whores, these Irish, these reprobates. They crawl from their alleys, ever hungry for more.
She saw me all those years ago. A pretty young thing without a father. That's all I was. She knew I was vulnerable. That she could use me to tempt men to her way of thinking. Powerful men. Because she's such an unpleasant creature. She knew she couldn't do it alone. She went after the children. After me. Oh, God. What if I escaped from?
Foreigners plot to weaken our resolve. Nations join the gold exchange to overwhelm our resources. Do you think France has forgotten us? The real France, the bloody, revolutionary monster who drenched the streets of Paris over and over again. The army had to save those people. Do we wait? Allow our empire to decline and pray that the red-suited uniforms march to rescue us? Or do we strike now?
No. What am I saying? This is wrong. Mina's my friend. She loves me. She saved me. These are lies. Get out! Let me sleep. I banish you. Don't come near me.
This corruption can be felt even in our hamlet, where lasciviousness and foreign idolatry has come among us. Look, Mina Murray, a former whore who corrupted a promising young man. Young Harker has since been saved. But what does this woman do now? She teaches children. The so-called intellectual who mocks all that he does not understand, who allows for drugs, any kind of degradation, even murder in his asylum.
What? I can't see. I feel drained. Oh, what are you doing to me? Where are you?
Land ho!
What is this? The foreign agent, the teacher of our Dr. Seward, who traveled among the savages and learned their secrets. The master schemer, a papist. But what is the final key to their plan?
You won't take me. I'll kill myself instead. I can't move.
Our own Lucy Westenra. You all know her sweetness, the innate gentleness of her nature. But gentlemen, it pains me to say we have been ignorant. No, we have committed a massive dereliction of duty. Mrs. Westra's very soul is under attack. Her beloved teacher is none other than Mina Murray, who squats now that noble house. Dr. Seward is trying to slither his way into her marriage bed, or else will throw the angel into his own personal asylum. Do you see? But do not despair. Even now, crossing the waves, a man comes who will drive them out, plunge a knife into their carcasses, and save our Lucy. You must be ready. Ready to save yourselves, Lucy, and England!
You don't have me.
I will. Renfield?
Sir?
Mrs. Westenra must be made aware of the real world.
Of course.
Hello?
Professor, may I come in?
Mina, yes, enter. Do you have more files for me?
I do, including some of his contributions to magazines and the OED.
How?
He has several of his books bookmarked. We knew he penned essays, so I wrote to the Anglo-Saxon Review about writers who focused on empire, conflict, and the inevitable war with France. There is an author who wrote under the name F. Walsingham.
Francis Walsingham. Interesting.
That's a reference to someone, yes?
The principal secretary to your Queen Elizabeth. He discovered the supposed plot on his queen's life and arranged Mary Scott's execution.
Thus saving the kingdom.
So goes the story. I don't understand Renfield's progression. He was brought in 15 years ago for sad, but not atypical behaviors of a lunatic. Paranoia, visions, rage, all of which become quite manageable under the structures and diversions of the institution. But then a year ago, he develops a new set of symptoms that tie with his empire-based worldview. He begins to speak of a purpose. Something changed.
May I show you something?
You don't have to ask.
There was something that Mr. Renfield was discussing that reminded me of the research I did for my fiancé.
You are married?
In all but name. Arthur is a solicitor and was sent by his office to finalize the papers of a Transylvanian nobleman who wished to move to the country at Carfax.
Here, this Carfax.
No wonder you're a professor. But as I was going through the history of this count's family, I kept running into superstitions.
Oh, I hate that word. It is so often applied to either belief systems as complex or profound as mine, or new discovery that we've so often ignored.
My mother thought you could cure cholera with whiskey.
Well, not every superstition is equal.
One of the ideas I kept coming across in this part of the world is the creature known as a vampire. Do you know the term?
Not particularly.
It's a corpse that drinks blood.
How does this connect?
The Count, in particular, his name is Dracula.
Son of the dragon.
Yes, and his family name emerges often with these myths, along with a history of warfare.
Yes, that was a very violent part of the world, with folklore deep in carnage.
It's memorable. So then, I found this letter from a Mr. Hawkins to a Francis W. hidden in one of Renfield's books. In it, Mr. Hawkins thanks Renfield for connecting the firm to this foreign count.
Who is Mr. Hawkins?
My fiancé's employer, the man who is arranging the arrival of Count Dracula.
Ah, you think The Count somehow gained contact with Renfield, played on his delusions to make him believe the truth of this legend, thus explaining the blood obsessions. But why?
No idea.
There is something here. Tell me you found your man.
I have people everywhere. He's disappeared.
This is unsettling.
Professor, I need your help.
I came out here for you and was assaulted by one of your lunatics. How much more could you? What is wrong?
It's Lucy. She's dying and I have no idea why.
What? No. Well, that's impossible. I saw her yesterday.
Well, she doesn't sleep. She grows paler by the hour and she oscillates between rage and then despair. She almost barred me from entering the house before falling into my arms and begging me to stay. I was afraid to even come here, Professor. Her servants have been giving me the evil eye. No one knows more about obscure diseases than you.
Let us not waste time.
Let's go.
Mina. She doesn't want you in the house.
What?
You or anyone accompanying you have been instructed to be barred from entering the house. I don't know. I tried talking to her, but I have never seen her like this before.
Let us hurry. Mina, I have an important task for you. I have a colleague who lives in London. He keeps certain books for me. Write him and tell the man I need this volume.
Let's go now.
His address and the title are here.
Solomari de Alumni.
Help me sleep.
Hello, Mrs. Westenra. How are you feeling today?
You're not here. This is more of these visions.
Oh, young lady, I deeply empathize. Speaking from experience, it can be very difficult to separate the corporeal from the hallucinatory. Yet, for your safety, I suggest that you do.
What do you want?
To propose. I know I'm fourth in line, but I feel I have so much to offer. Marry me, Lucy, and make me the happiest man in the world.
At least you have a sense of humor.
Well, we must keep a smile, otherwise, what's life for?
Are you here to kill me?
No, not this time. This is a warning.
To do what?
Obey my master.
Your master.
You will marry Dr. Seward. You will continue to write these articles calling for a new age. You will do whatever is necessary, or I will strangle you to death. No one will suspect the truth.
You're not real.
Shh. This is no vision.
Lucy! Lucy, I've come back!
Remember, do whatever they say before you are punished.
Lucy, thank God you're still here. Allow me to introduce to you my teacher, Professor Van Helsing.
Your teacher?
An honor to make your acquaintance. I've heard nothing but wonderful anecdotes about you. Now, what is this I hear about you feeling ill?
I cannot sleep.
Insomnia or nightmares?
Both. It started as red eyes, these bloody orbs that grew. I couldn't sleep for all of the sounds of hissing and crying.
You have a history of sleepwalking, yes?
Not since my father died.
Has anything triggered this bout? Any stress?
Yes. In fact, I've had 3 proposals of marriage.
Well, to be burdened with such a choice.
And one of them stands there. He has not left my side since the question. I can't help but notice I've grown sicker in his care.
I assure you, Dr. Seward is an excellent physician who no doubt cares deeply for you.
I'm surrounded by caring. My throat is closed up. My lungs burn, suffocated as I am by such affection. Do you care for me, Professor?
I do not know you, but it is my profession to care.
So yours is a clinical kindness. Oh, how fortunate. A scientific sense of mercy. Get out. Every last one of you. I'm done with your love. I'll fight this alone.
Lucy,
Or I'll call my men and they'll bash your brains into there's nothing left. They'll do it for me. They also care.
Tell us about the eyes, Mrs. Westenra. Please, for all that's secret.
They started black, grew red, glowed, and blood instead of tears stained his cheeks.
Here, take this. It's a flower, only a flower, but promise me you'll keep it close tonight.
Out!
she's sick. She's sick. There's no other explanation. I'll go to a judge.
The eyes.
What?
Renfield wrote in one of his dream journals you assigned about finding salvation in 2 blood-filled eyes.
What was the flower?
A prayer.
Jack, was there ever chummies now, such as you and I, Jack, when the middle march was on and the time went slow, boy? Who could choose a rousing stave? Who like Jack or Joe, boy? Long we tossed golden mane, now we're safe ashore, Jack. Your old shipmate. Rally, 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 ride, oh.
Mr. Renfield.
Mr. Harker, you look well, considering your recent death.
The Count is pleased with your work.
Where is he?
He regrets to inform you that other considerations have taken his attention tonight.
Not the first time I've been slighted for a pretty face.
You will be rewarded in time.
Harker, I may be insane, but I'm fully aware of what my reward is like to be.
The wages of sin.
Indeed. What is it like?
Emptiness. Long stretches of dull emptiness punctuated with fury. There's no lust, thirst, nor pain. I thought hell would be more painful. There's nothing. Till the anger possesses me, and the taste of ash pours down my throat as I drink the blood of man.
How long did it take?
Weeks. He tried to fight, but you cannot resist him alone. At first, I held to the cross, but then it seemed to agree with the darkness. Then I imagined Mina, but she became abhorrent. Isolation, and the only company I had was the darkness. You cannot face him alone.
Well, there is more work to be done from all of us.
Mr. Hawkins has outlived his usefulness.
I will make sure he leaves the firm in your hands before the end.
Renfield.
Yes?
Did you know what he was when he first appeared to you in those dreams?
Close enough. Cheer up, lad. Long we tossed on the rolling main, now we're safe ashore, Jack. Don't forget your old shipmate. Rolly, 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 ride-o.
Who's there?
I am.
Are you here to protect me?
I am.
And to help me sleep?
A deep, long slumber.
Come in.
What is in your hands?
The doctor gave it to me.
It is a trick. Cast it aside.
It's been comforting. I felt so close to rest.
It will burn you from the inside. Unleash your most vile self. Tear it to pieces.
No. This protects me from you, doesn't it?
Nothing alone can protect you.
Stay back.
Too late, Mrs. Westenra. This will be painful, but I cannot allow you to corrupt this world.
Stay back!
But she's all right.
The servant said she looked fine. A little pale, but they made it clear that she's made full recovery since we left.
But she still won't see us.
No,
What is the professor doing?
no idea. Just locked up in Renfield's room going through his books.
What do you think happened?
I don't know. Psychosis can bring about such psychological symptoms, but this quickly. She seemed anemic.
Could it be poison?
What do you mean?
I mean, you have an escaped lunatic who, because of you, met Lucy.
Okay, but he'd need some poisonous drugs, and my cabinet has not been broken into.
And what about you?
What about me?
You wouldn't have used it.
Just because she wants nothing to do with your mothering control, I am not the villain.
Children and young women are being attacked, drained of blood. Have you seen this?
Yes, and I'm being asked what we're doing to catch our escaped child murderer.
You think it's Renfield?
Who else could it be?
Women and children are not in his pathology. He doesn't find them threatening.
That doesn't inspire much comfort. What have you been researching in those rooms?
I've been looking into your hypothesis regarding the contact between Count Dracula and Mr. Renfield.
And what did you find?
Nothing.
I'm shocked.
Nothing. is exactly what worries me.
Now is not the time for cryptic statements, Professor.
There is something preternatural going on.
Not this again.
A monster among us.
Mrs. Murray, Dr. Seward, and you must be Professor Van Helsing.
Must I?
Indeed. The Count. I'm here to inform you that my client, Mrs. Lucy Westenra, will be seeking litigation against each of you.
For what?
Arthur,
Well, in your specific case, gross negligence in allowing the escape of a violent lunatic who threatened her in her bedchamber. Though I assure you, the details will be delivered to your offices shortly.
how long have you been home?
2 weeks. If any of you attempt to contact Mrs. Westenra, the authorities will be brought into the matter.
Why are you ignoring me?
I'm not. I was going to wait until we were alone for delicacy's sake, but never mind. I'm breaking off our engagement.
You don't mean that.
It has become clear to me that in our weeks apart, you used your sexual influence to manipulate my position and raise your own. That you would never support me in the firm, you would never support me in my ambitions. You are a callous, lecherous devil, and this will be the last we speak.
Who are you?
Good day.
Arthur!
Mina. I'm so sorry. I don't know what to say.
Professor,
Yes,
you mentioned a monster?
I did.
Tell me more.
Mina, we have to look at this rationally.
That was not Arthur. Never mind that he loves me. Arthur was incapable of that kind of cruelty. Those weren't his eyes. They were... Professor, please finish.
Do you remember when you introduced me to the concept of the vampire?
The stories about the blood-sucking fiend from beyond the grave.
My colleague traveled at great risk to collect a book about a particular school.
What did the school teach?
It teaches dark magic, and those who graduate become devils.
I need a moment before we continue. The journey from across the seas has used much of my resources. But from this broken abbey we will spread. Renfield first as prophet. He will go and find those who are willing to save England.
The school is called the Scholomance and is found deep in Romania. It teaches the powers of conjuring, summoning the weather, speaking to animals, wearing invisibility. But Mina, what sparked this thought was the name of the Count.
Dracula?
The dragon is the symbol of this school.
Lucy and Harker will marry before the year is out. Between her riches and family name and his connection to the law, we will overtake each hamlet, town, and city in turn.
However, in 1690, as part of the Battle of Zernist, the school was ravaged by a former pupil. He claimed the mantle, resources, and powers of all of the living Solomari. A few items were smuggled from the library, including this ledger. His true name was burned with the building, but we know he took on the moniker Son of the Dragon, or Dracula.
But we are not a creeping infestation. Let that be clear. We are the children of Attila, of Alexander, of Caesar. Let them hear our coming. Let us do battle in the day and night. We will feast on the blood of the unconverted and reward the faithful.
It is out of the lore and experience of the ancients we know he became of the undead, Nosferatu. There comes with the change the curse of immortality. They cannot die, but must go on age after age, multiplying the evils of the world, like as the ripples of a stone thrown in water. We must act now, while he has traveled so far, while he thinks us ignorant. He has weaknesses we may exploit, the sacred in all its forms, the cross, garlic, wolfsbane.
And we what? Break into the house of a man we've never met and kill him?
We cannot kill him at night, but only when the sunlight shines.
Okay, I need proof.
Can we trap him?
Possibly.
How? How do we trap a man that's either innocent or I don't even know how to describe this ridiculousness?
A living corpse animated by evil and fueled with blood magic.
Right, when you say it like that, sounds obvious.
You two set the trap. I'll make sure he comes for us.
What are you going to do?
Write a letter.
How? How do we trap a dead wizard?
I can't help but detect a slight sense of skepticism emanating off you, Seward.
Professor, I hope you don't need a proof of my admiration for you.
You're the empiricist, I'll take your word.
But this isn't the first time your tendency to listen to crackpot legends has hurt.
Here we go.
In South America, you listened to a local washerwoman about the mind-expanding powers of a local frog.
Toad.
I had to pump your stomach in the middle of the jungle to prevent you from dying.
We were able to record an incredibly useful compound.
We were alone, jaguars watching, and you started foaming at the mouth.
No need to remind me, I was there.
In France, however, you tried convincing your radical friends about the powers of the local church. Something, and then you got beat up. Something any reasonable person could have predicted.
They were working from a place of pain.
Professor, it is our responsibility to rigorously examine, test, and hold ourselves to the highest possible standard.
What about discovery, Doctor? We know so little, the infinite beckons. Certainty is cancer. Those standards must be married to constant questions. If someone tells you something, find out if it is true.
Yes, but a vampire?
I don't need you to believe. I'm asking you to test this with me. And be ready. I'm asking you to be the doctor I met in Korea. One who saved lives no matter what. Who, even after being thrown in that hellscape of a jail, still treated your fellow prisoners.
Sir, I am still that doctor, but a vampire. What are we even supposed to do?
First, we'll need garlic, wolfsbane crosses, symbols of life from all over. We'll hang them up around the cell and keep him here until sunrise.
Sunrise?
He supposedly loses power.
That sounds risky.
Doctor, if these monsters are real, risk is not the word I'd use. We will be begging for a miracle. But when there is no reasonable chance at victory, all we have is faith.
To the good people of Whitby, it has come to my attention that a gross national insult has taken place without our knowledge. A foreign noble, if that term can be used, for the savage, barbaric invader that stalks our shores. This Count Dracula, who even now has moved into noble Carfax Abbey, is from a world that knows not the difference between savagery and civilization. Is he to walk among us unchallenged? Perhaps visit our daughters? His womanish, queer nature will fester until it becomes an infection. No. Let his name ring out. Count Dracula has arrived, and we have a right to know his intentions. Most truthfully, Mina Murray.
This is vile.
It will anger him.
Should anger anyone who reads it.
This creature is a monster.
True. But there are precious few true monsters in this world, and these words are frightfully common. It is not that he is foreign that is the problem.
It will lessen his influence.
Nothing you wrote here hasn't been spit in my face.
It isn't referring to you.
Today.
You disapprove?
It's done. He will act, and we must be ready. Already the room. Seward is getting a weapon.
Why?
Makes him feel better.
Lucy?
Let me in, Quincy. I want to talk.
You know you're always welcome.
Dr. Seward, why did you abandon me?
What? You removed me from the premises.
I write poems about lovers. Does the man retreat grounded? Or does he climb the balcony?
Well, you seem so furious.
It's called passion.
You look different. Stunning.
I cannot lie. It's so many eyes on me, Doctor. I pity you all truly. Must be so very tense as you try to keep those pupils directed towards safety. My face, or maybe off to the side. But eventually, it's drawn elsewhere. It burns trails all over my frame. I feel every second. If I'm inclined to look back, my glances are a caress, a fire. Can you imagine what a touch would be?
What do you want?
To reward you
For what?
for helping us stop those monsters.
Who?
Mina, Van Helsing. They're trying to confuse you. If only you could step into the light. We could be together in every way. I'd much rather marry you than Harker. He's so cold. And you're filled with warm blood.
God. Mina was right. This isn't you.
But it was never me you wanted, just my flesh.
No. That's a lie. Yes. I imagined you in bed, and I am ashamed of how little I thought to listen at first. Desperately, I even imagined scenes like these where you'd want me so much you never did. You never loved me. And I know that now. Because I did. Your happiness was all that I cared about, whether or not I was a part of it. You can't take away the most selfless part of my soul away from me. is the Lucy Westenra I love died a while ago. Whoever you aren't hurt. Those aren't Lucy's eyes.
That's not very scientific.
Well, we'll do the tests on his corpse after we stop Dracula.
Of course I never loved you. Who could love someone this weak?
We'll destroy him. Maybe that will save you.
It'll kill me.
Maybe it will save you.
Quincy, oh good doctor. Do you have any idea what you could possess if you were on the right side? The pleasures that come from conquest.
Goodbye.
Yes.
Oh, Doctor, it has been some time. I've come to repay my own injury.
Get away from him.
He is a threat!
He is not yours to claim.
Why are you stopping me? I'm going to finish these vermin now!
The master made it very clear that they belong to him.
It's a trap. Surely he sees it's a trap.
You disobeyed the master.
It's for his own good. I will kill them for their insult. But to risk him, they call him out by name. The foreigner knows many tricks. It's not...
It doesn't matter.
You don't challenge his authority.
He will save us.
He is the instrument, not the cause.
Renfield, this is a shame. I had thought you would last longer, that your tendency towards self-destruction might hold off until the year's end.
Sir, forgive me, but they clearly plan on this. I am armed, and I am not bound by your limitations.
Limitations? That word means nothing to me. I am the embodiment of a new age. The fusion of past and future's power.
This is a mistake.
Indeed. Oh, Renfield. I had such hope. You saw before anyone my potential in the modern world. How perfectly I fit. I thought myself a relic of the past, but you convinced me I could be born again. And if I am the Messiah, that makes you John the Baptist, which means you go.
No. I am your most loyal servant.
He is a traitor. Make sure he suffers accordingly.
No!
All right. I'm convinced. What's the plan?
Take some garlic. I have a cross. And Mina took.
This book is the first gift Lucy ever gave me. It's sacred to me.
So what's the plan?
We hold together. Do not let go of your item. Do not let him touch you. Do not give up hope. We block the door. And we must stay together or we will be overwhelmed one by one.
That is not much of a plan.
Pater noster, quies in celis.
You do look familiar. Have we met in another lifetime? You should sleep, old man.
You are nothing. You are shadow. We are light. We are love. We are life.
You are funny.
I first met Lucy when she was a girl. Even then, she had this sweet nature about her, this kindness.
Do you want to see your friend? All you need do is ask. How about you, Seward? Don't you want to experience her sweetness? Close your eyes and drift into my reality.
The first step is removing the tumor, taking out the malignant portion. Once that is done, you may treat the wound. The treatment may be as damaging as the disease.
What is this? Articles of faith? Cast that garlic aside, Seward, and face me like a man.
Sanctificator nomen.
Enough with the Lord's Prayer. I'm not the devil. Those words don't frighten me.
What does? What made you come all the way from your crumbling little rock?
I'll show you fear, whore. You've been waiting for a man to put you in your place.
Lucy would help the other girls behind my back. She was worried I'd be angry.
What do I care?
You don't. All you care about is blood and death.
Fiat voluntas tua, sicut angelo et antera.
You, foreigner, you read what she wrote. Do you believe that bile came from nowhere? How about those references to womanish or queer? What do you think others like her would do if given the chance?
Mina didn't understand what she was saying.
Of course she did. She probably got the idea watching you. Do you honestly think you'd have a place with her if I wasn't here? I could make the world bow to the power you are.
Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie.
How about you, Mina? Don't you want a world for women? A world where people like Seward can't throw you into an asylum for talking back. It doesn't matter to me. Let's win together. I'd give you Arthur back.
Count. That is such a temptation.
Let them have this. Love, fight, and win, Mina. Arthur will worship you.
He's dead. You killed him and killed his kindness. Go back to your hell.
Women are so irrational, aren't they, Doctor? Medically speaking, with their hysterical tendencies. Allow me to support you. Just think of all that could be achieved in medicine if you didn't have to argue over every little thing.
Well, the argument makes it stronger.
Do you think you will survive until dawn? That bullet is inside of you. Will any of you survive? My presence drains you.
Et dimite nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos. Dimittimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem, sed libera nos a malo. Don't let him leave. My eyes are so heavy.
One down. Tell me more about your loved ones, Mina. Are there any more I could take from you? Your students, perhaps.
You won't touch them.
I will. And once you see them lined up outside these doors, impaled or crucified, depending on my mood, your mind will become so polluted with disgust, it will be as if their lives meant nothing.
Stop it!
Lucy and Harker's good deeds are just stories.
Shut up!
Their promises meant less than nothing.
You had to kill them. To turn them, you needed to drain them until there wasn't a drop of blood. Because as long as the slightest bit of life was left, they fought you.
Tell him, Mina.
Seward,
2 down. I could leave.
but you won't. Otherwise, what kind of conqueror are you? Chased off by a woman before you even finish the others off?
I will see you destroyed, Mina.
You'll see better in sunlight. Let's wait. It's only a few hours.
Light doesn't kill me.
But you are without your power.
As are you. You are alone, weakened. You have nothing. I will kill you now and then rest.
No, Count. That's your reflection you see in my eyes. Yes, I'm weakened, but never alone. And we've got all time.
You two should be gone.
Not yet.
I needed to rest. Mina held out long enough. Now it's your turn, Count.
No. No! I've more battles. There is still time. I am the Boyar, the conqueror of Salamayor. I have impaled my enemies. I am greatness.
You're a story, Count. One it's time to end.
If you kill me, then your precious empire will fall. I've seen the signs. I've seen it 100 times. Together, we could achieve such glory.
There is no glory in slaughter.
No triumph in blood.
I don't want to die. That is not my fate.
I almost pity you, creature.
Pity your friends. If you kill me, they turn to dust. I am the only thing keeping them alive.
Do you have any last words, Count?
I will return.
And we will be here.
I will return.
As we always have been, and always will be.
I will return.
Goodbye, Count Dracula.
I will.
he's not coming back.
I thought that was excellent. I appreciated like 3 seconds, and then nope, we're going on.
Well, because we're both, like, on our end, we're both up, and so when I saw him leave, I was like, I know what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I didn't, because everything else about your feed looked fine, and I was like, what's happening? Okay. It's exciting. It's always good when
colors just kept changing, because it's the first time I'm filming in sunlight, and my camera is not down for this. I was just going from blue to red to yellow to, oh my.
You were quite blue. You were quite blue.
It was like I was freaking out. Because the setup is not for sunlight.
Learning something new every day here.
Oh, excuse me.
It's really funny. I have the live stream up on my phone right now, and it says, please stand by. We're having technical difficulties.
Oh, I know why.
Do you want me to shut it off?